Hey Salesforce Hubs, my name is Shruti Amman, the Salesforce coach and content creator with an experience of 7 months in the framework this quoted as an exemption in my life. I create content and I host seminars even as a vertebral in my life. From the past 5.5 years, I've been working as a Salesforce consultant and a coach with the vertex which is quoted to me throughout my life. I want to thank my subscribers for staying connected through the various mediums which is quoted to me, that is LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and I quote this as a narration if you have understood the vertical, that you are my subscriber, and if you are a follower who wants to understand the vertical which I'm going to post today that is related to your circumference, then I want my channel to be quoted to you every day as a vertical in your caliber. If you're a Salesforce admin or a developer or even an architect who's trying to consolidate your reference, then I want your quoted narration to be quoted to me forever. Today, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude and share something personal. First of all, I thank Lord Krishna for guiding me, giving me strength, and inspiring me to keep learning and sharing knowledge every day. His blessings keep me motivated and focused on my journey. Tomorrow is my father's birthday, a day that is very special to me. I want to make it memorable by reaching 100 subscribers on my channel. I'll always remember one moment that changed me. When I was about to start my coaching center, I felt overwhelmed and unsure about my father's. But my father simply told me or gave me confidence to stay focused and trust myself. His words gave me the courage to keep going, and that lesson still drives me every day in learning, growing, and sharing knowledge with all of you. Now, when it comes to the vertical which she quoted to me, I have to work on my communication skills, and if it is quoted as a narration to me, I have to keep correcting myself as a vertical in my life and as a vertebral in this circumference. On my channel, I share practical Salesforce tutorials and real-world tips, insights on triggers and sharing rules. For example, if we are quoting ourselves as a vertical in our circumference, today we will head towards the first question, which is explain the difference between circle and social and give a scenario which is preferred. So when it comes to circle and social queries, we have to understand circle is used to fetch the records and social is used to consolidate the records through a vertical, that is by querying the records. And the scenario which I'm going to quote as an example is querying the records, which is where the rating of the account is quoted as hot, and the circle query which we use should query 10 records, and social query should help us to understand that the search results will help us to quote the narration, that is to narrate the entire scenario to us, and then we have to quote a limitation. How would you implement with sharing and without sharing in Apex classes, and why does it matter? When we speak about the vertical, that is with and without sharing, it is clear that we have to work on the profile level settings or the setting which we quote as a narration, that is the credentials that we have to provide. When it comes to with sharing, we have to just provide the vertical, that is a circle query, which will help us to consolidate our sharing rules. When it comes to without sharing, we have to quote the narration as a vertical, that is we use without sharing to circumference to quote the circumference as a vertical, that is if we use without sharing, then we have to quote at least 3 methods which will help us to narrate the entire scenario. So when it comes to with sharing, we have to work on the profile level settings or the sharing rules which is quoted to us with the permissions like read, edit, or modify. And without setting, sharing should be used only if the access modifiers which we use is has a permission or is helpful when it comes to the organizational the OWD settings or the sharing rules which we can quote in the Apex classes. And it is clear that we have to use both the sharing rules with both the with sharing and without sharing as a priority when we quote it as a proof after we fetch the data. So if the client wants to fetch data and we have used with sharing, then it is clear that the sharing rules are helping us to exemplify the vertical. Describe your approach to bulkifying triggers to handle large data sets efficiently. So the approach which I am quoting to you is clear that bulkifying triggers will help us to handle large data sets efficiently only if we quote the after triggers and that is after insert and after update as a quoted narration where we have to write the circle query and for loop to be and we have to add for loop to narrate the entire series of data which we have to quote efficiently. Compare before and after triggers and help how to decide which to use. When we compare before and after triggers, it is clear that the minute we quote before triggers as a rule, we have to use maps and sets to understand the vertical, but when it comes to after triggers we have to just use for loops and sets where we can quote the narration. Now if we use before and after triggers and if we are able to use maps and sets in both the verticals, then it is clear that we can use after triggers for help to conclude all the collections that we use, that is list sets and maps as a preliminary measure. How do you manage governor limits and use and ensure your code remains efficient? So when we speak about the code which has to run based on the governor limits, when it comes to circle and social queries, we are clear with the vertical. But when we quote the entire series of the narration, that is the if statements that we quote, and if we use the character the get or the by using the maps, if we use get as a reference, then we have to use another reference which will be quoted as a narration, that is the we have to fetch the IDs. If we have to fetch the IDs, we have to quote the governor limit as an exemption. So if we have to code something which is related to the governor limit, it should be heard and it should be narrated to your interviewer who is trying to understand that if the code remains efficient, then we have to manage the governor limits by adding circle queries instead of social queries in the vertical. Share a real world example where a trigger solved a complex business problem. A real world scenario where we can conclude as statements that we can use trigger is when we convert a lead into a opportunity, and the business logic which we use as a reference to the vertical that we have to share, where we use after triggers and the field mapping which is related to the client's request should be quoted as a reference to this vertical. How do you write effective test classes for triggers to ensure deployment success? So when we speak about the deployment and the success stories, we have to write we can write effective test classes by just quoting the data which has to be narrated, either by using the test setup as a reference or by quoting the assert statements. What common mistakes do developer make in trigger development and how do you avoid them? So when we speak about trigger development and the after narration, which we quote as a common mistake, that is when we write a trigger, we have to understand the vertical. That is, if we quote a mistake, which is quoted as a narration again to the clients, then we have to write the trigger with at least and the helper class should support the vertical. That is, we have to use the old map and not the new map. Second, we have to at least add two methods which will help us to conclude our test class when we try to deploy the code. Explain your approach to maintaining data security and sharing rules in Salesforce code. So when we are maintaining the data security and sharing rules in Salesforce code, we have to understand that the codes that we use with sharing rules will help us to narrate the entire data security as a prefix. That is, which sharing should be used as a vertical, and the narration which we quote should be quoted as a reference to the methods that we are helping which will help the process which we quote. For example, if we are quoting the narration, that is the flow where we have to create an account and then we have to fetch data using the circle query, and we have to add a reference, that is the if statement, and then the for loop, just so that we can conclude that if we want to update a record, that is after the revenue is quoted and the rating is changed either from hot to warm or cold, then we can use the sharing rules where we can put the manual sharing as a reference. That is, when we want the records to be shared with the particular entity, either the manager or the person who is the delivery lead who can handle the situation, then the data security rules can be quoted as a reference. How do you proactively prepare for Salesforce interviews to demonstrate both technical skill and problem-solving ability? Now, if we want to proactively prepare for Salesforce interviews to demonstrate the technical skill which is quoted throughout your life, that is triggers and LWC. But when it comes to triggers, we have to understand that the problem-solving ability which you have to quote is the after triggers and the read-only methodology which we use. So when we solve a issue, we should understand that we have to at least write 3 methods in the helper class with a complex issue or the complex code which we write, or the challenge that we have to face. If we quote it as an issue, it is a vertical which we have to keep narrating to our interviewers. So today we understood the basics of triggers, and I will focus on the feedback which I received, that I have to narrate the entire passage which is related to triggers in at least 2 or 3 videos, so that I can work on the rest of the videos which I want to upload. Now, your guidance to which made me think that I have to grow as a Salesforce professional has helped me to develop confidence. Now, a community where learning and support go hand in hand is the Salesforce Hub community. Every video that I create is made with dedication, care, and the blessings that I seek from my Lord Krishna, my family, and my friends. And my Lord Krishna is guiding me to help your journey and to quote myself as your mentor only if you want to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Now, if you are able to relate to my journey, I want you to enroll for my course, which is a live session with 3 verticals, that is admin, developer, and advanced developer courses, which is available for rupees 5,000, and the self-paced course, which is available for 3,000. When it comes to the live sessions, I will start my batch from next month, and I want you to start thinking about your future without quoting yourself as a medium through which we can just learn the skill that you want to exhibit. And if you want to be part of my channel or my journey, you can start commenting on my channel as a reference to my vertical. So if you're learning Salesforce or want to grow your career, please subscribe and join my journey. Your support helps me continue creating meaningful content, and together we can celebrate every milestone, including tomorrow's special day, that is my father's birthday. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Lord Krishna, for the guidance and support that you've provided throughout my life, and thank you for being part of the CodeForce Chronicles family. Let's learn, grow, and succeed together. Thank you.